On this week's episode of the CVG Off the Record podcast, Rob gives us his impressions on Alien Isolation. I talk about if Tomb Raider Definitive Edition is worth returning to. We discuss PlayStation Now, what it offers, and problems that Sony might face. And we talk about our confusion surrounding Valve's Steambox. Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the CVG Off the Record podcast, coming to you from 2014. We're done with 2013. That shit died. We threw it in a bag and then lobbed it over a fence.
That's right.
Done.
Or do that mean we've got flying cars and stuff now in there? There's 2014.
No, that did not happen, Chris. I'm sorry to say 2014 is much more disappointing than it was on the Jetsons.
That's a shame.
Very much shame. My name is Tamoor Hussain. I'm staff writer on this website. I'm joined by 2 other people this week instead of 3.
That's right. So Tamoor, we've got less people this week.
Yeah, but you're new. This is the first time you've been here. Like, you've been on. You were on all of our Game of the Generation podcasts, and people were like, "That guy has no idea what he's talking about." They couldn't even be bothered to learn your name. They were like, "The one with the deep voice."
Yeah, I know, which shows the extent of their analytical skills that they didn't even bother to look out my name.
Yeah, suck it, you lot.
Yeah.
Rob Crossley, associate editor on CVG, is with us.
Hello.
As well as Chris Scullion.
Hello.
How's it going, Chris?
Adequately.
As always. So we've been off for a good few weeks.
Yep.
Yeah. Did you have a nice Christmas?
I had a great Christmas. In fact, I'm still having my Christmas.
Of course.
I'm still on a holiday, but I'm here to record.
Yeah. So Tamoor Hussain, for some reason, decided to book 2 weeks off in January. I guess because you didn't. Was there a holiday in December at all? Any time off in December?
No, I don't think so.
No, was it some sort of public? Was there a traditional annual public event in
I
December?
think so. Traditional for some cultures.
Yeah, not for me. We don't give a shit. Like, whatever Christmas. Yeah.
What do you celebrate?
I celebrate Eid, but not.
Tell everyone about it.
Why should I? They can go to Wikipedia and type in Eid. We've got 2 of them.
They never will.
No, they never will. We work for our one, so we got to fast for 30 days, for a month.
This is the alternative to Christmas.
Yeah, before you get you got to work for it.
Got to work.
Yeah, you get 1 day where you eat, and then that's it. That's it, done.
Do you have like a feast at the end of it all together? Or?
Yeah, pretty much. But you know, your stomach's so shrunken and swollen by then that your eyes are much bigger than your stomach.
Yeah, you
so
can get a single
I'm
bean.
Eat everything, and then you eat nothing.
Why don't you switch to Christmas? You get presents, you get trees, and you eat anything.
This is dangerous.
I like my one better. We're kind of like cooler right now as well. We're in vogue right now. Like we're kind of villainous as well. We got the edge. We're like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if I was to make a film right now, it wouldn't be about a Christian.
No, it'd be about a Muslim guy. 100%.
Yeah, definitely.
Like,
yeah, you're the star of the show.
I'm the star of this movie.
But that would change. That would change.
Yeah.
Anyone been playing any games? Before we get shut down.
So we should probably start with the big one, which is Aliens Isolation. Alien
Isolation.
Alien Isolation, which kind of speaks to the approach that Creative Assembly are taking to it. There's only one alien. Is that right?
Yeah, but it's also about the 1979
movie. Yeah, exactly.
Alien.
Singular.
Yeah, rather than the sequel Aliens.
Yeah, that's how it's written.
Aliens.
It's the jazz version.
Yeah. Fabulous version.
I should talk about it though, because I actually played it for 30 minutes. So Creative Assembly in December took us to their
Creative Assembly, who have given us such games as
Rome Total War, Shogun Total War, Noun Total War.
So while they might not be,
they work on RTSs.
Yeah, but I guess that might be an off-putting thing for some people because it's now we have this. I'm assuming first-person exploration game. But what I take away from it is that they've got an eye for details, and they're very, very dedicated to getting right into source material, which thus far has been, human history.
Well, I know you're absolutely right. To give you an idea of how far they want to go in terms of authenticity of a 1979 vision of the future. Because that's what their aim is.
They made a time machine and went back to 1979.
Yeah, they want to go back to 1979 and then predict what the future will be like back in 1979, right? And this is how far they went. So with all like video, like corporation logos and stuff, right? They have like these videos of them and everything, and they were trying to make them look as old new as possible, you know, with like weird blur lines and, you know, like low definition stuff. And they were doing all these effects, and they couldn't quite get that essence of like an old feel. Like, you know, they're trying to make it look nice but shit at the same time.
Yeah.
So what they did is they created these logos, these animated logos, and put them on a VHS tape.
Nice.
And then put that on a messed up old standard definition TV. By the way, I guess we should explain what VHS tape is. It's
Wow.
Yeah, we probably should though.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
Before Blu-ray, there were CDs, there were DVDs, and then there were CDs before that. But like in the 80s and early 90s, there were tapes.
Holy shit.
That's quite weird when you think about it. DVDs became fairly prevalent in like 2001-ish. So there'll be like 12-year-olds now who are like, I don't know what the fuck VHS is.
That blows my mind because I don't feel that old. I'm only 26. Like I still feel, and I was around when VHSs were a thing. But the fact that you need to explain that VHS is like I feel dated now.
Yeah.
People probably know what a cassette tape is, regardless. Don't they? Because that's like ubiquitous, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a bigger version of that.
It's a big cassette.
It's like looking at a cassette tape really closely.
It made piracy off the TV super easy.
Yeah, it really did. So anyway, they wanted to create these sort of rubbish old logos, and so they recorded all their footage onto VHS, and then recorded the VHS playback of those logos, and then put it into the game as assets. So what you then get is an authentically old feel when it comes to like, you know, the videos, the in-game video footage.
That's awesome. That's dedication.
To explain how mental they are, they also recorded it on old Alien tapes because they said they just wanted the DNA in there.
Wait, so they recorded old versions of Alien
with like their new logos, which they turned into assets. Yeah,
that's outrageous.
Hopefully they've got backup copies of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure that they're breaking copyright law and stuff.
Yeah,
probably not actually, are they?
Well, they've got the license now, haven't they?
So they have the ultimate license, don't they? They can watch what they want.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people are going to be thinking, like, you know, we're talking quite highly of them right now and the license and that kind of thing. But a lot of people, they've been burned many, many, many times in the past. Like, what is it about Aliens Isolation that, I mean, I'm optimistic about it purely because this is, like I said, a developer that cares about the games they make. Yeah. But what is it from you, as someone who's seen the game and played the game, what is it that people should be excited about? Why should they consider this, you know, might be the one that gives them something to care about?
Have you guys played Alien
Colonial Marines?
Yeah, have you played it?
Yeah.
I haven't, but I've seen enough of it. Like, I've been watching videos of it.
Well, what did you think?
I thought it's interesting that creative studios are known for Total War because I thought Colonial Marines was total pish. So I think it's an apt.
You're still doing the puns.
Still punning.
Still. Well, it's not really. That's more wordplay.
Always punning.
It's more word.
I didn't despise it like a lot of people did, but I thought it was really. It felt cold playing it. I didn't feel.
There wasn't any tension.
There was no tension.
With one level where they remove the weapons. Apparently there's a level in there where they remove the weapons, and it's quite tense.
Yeah, but even then, it's like when an alien appears in it. I mean, I'm more interested in the fact that there's a single alien in it, and it's a genuinely dangerous thing to come up against. Whereas in this, there's be a part near the start of the game where an alien breaks in through a window, and you just go, all right, fair enough.
Yeah, and here we go.
There could be like 5 of them around you, and you're not really that bothered because of thick as shit.
Based on what I've seen, like, it was no surprise to me in the months following all those news stories about it being farmed out and you know, being given to people who weren't at Gearbox or people, you know, at Gearbox weren't really putting much attention into it. They're too focused on Borderlands or whatever else it is. Right, like it didn't surprise me at all. Yeah,
that's the thing about Colonial Marines, and with all due respect to the people that worked on it, I imagine some people
with no due respect, like, you fucked that game up, like, you don't deserve any respect for that.
No, I appreciate that, but there must be some people on that team that are like, fucking hell, like, you know, the game designer or the programmers, they just do not care about this, or we're so under-resourced. There are definitely going to be some people at Gearbox.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell there was an element of love in that game, that there were people involved in it who did care about Alien.
Yeah.
That they had all the previous guys from Aliens, all the soldiers' weapons are hidden throughout the game and all that, and they brought the guy back who voiced Hicks and all that. You could tell there was some sort of we want to make something, and parts of the game looked genuine. Looked like it could be part of the Aliens movie. So there are obviously people, art designers and the like there, who wanted it to.
But the problem,
to be the part.
I completely agree with you. I completely agree. But the problem was somewhere along the line, there was someone in that process, either in publishing or investment,
who couldn't give a shit,
or studio head, or creative lead, or key designer. There was someone along that line who didn't care.
Yeah,
or
just wanted to get it out of the way,
or didn't have the assets and money and resources available. There was something wrong with that project.
Yeah.
It's funny that Gearbox are responsible for two of the biggest turds of last year.
Yeah.
Two of the most anticipated games as well, Duke Nukem and Alien Colonial Marines.
Yeah, they have a C team, don't they?
Yeah, they have a well, I think they're a very good studio, provided they're working on their own properties. Like if they invested, like Borderlands, there's no way that game would have come out until it was absolutely good, like perfect.
Yeah.
And
it's their flagship.
brand
now.
Everything else can burn in a fire as far as they're concerned. That's the impression I get from them now. So if they get a franchise that isn't one that they created, it's going to be pish.
Yeah, absolutely. But the Creative Assembly, I would say that the Creative Assembly are the complete opposite. They are the inverse to this.
Yeah.
When I went to the studio in December, I got the clearest possible sense that every single person on that project cares deeply about it. And you can tell by even the idea of the game itself, which is a really hard thing to do. They are making a survival horror game with basically one foe that you don't see all the time. This foe, if you look at the Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter's in that whole film for 14 minutes? 14 minutes of like a 90-minute film.
Yeah.
They're inspired by that. They want this alien to pop in and out of this big expansive story, and they want it to be a dynamic battle with this amazing AI killer, this ultra apex predator that can outthink you and outfox you. That is incredibly hard.
I love the idea of the threat of him appearing being the main psychological attack on you more than him appearing itself.
It's less is more, isn't it? It's like when you remember when they brought out the director's cut of Alien?
Yeah.
And they started, it was like 2002 or something. They did it, and it was actually shorter than the original version because all that Ridley Scott did was take shots of the alien out of it. That was most of the shots of the alien he removed.
That is
because he wanted to have less to see. You see even less of the alien than you did because that was more
scary.
Yeah. And a game which I mentioned it on Twitter. If you follow me there, you'll probably be like, oh yeah, that makes he's saying this again. But one of the games that does it so well, which I know you haven't played, is Metroid on the Game Boy Advance. What was it called again? Metroid Fusion, that's the one, yeah. That does it so well. So it's like the Samus's suit gets infected. I forget the circumstances again, but it becomes an evil version of her suit appears. She's got a different suit now, but it's been taken over by some sort of parasite, and it's moving around on its own, and it is constantly chasing you throughout this entire installation. And it will be like, it will appear at the weirdest moments, and it will just pass you by. Like, for example, you go into a morph ball at some point, and you kind of bomb an area into a secret area, which you're supposed to do, and you're above the main area, and then the game will pause, and then you'll see the possessed suit just walk underneath you.
Wow.
And you're like, holy shit, I'm not moving to do, because it was incredibly powerful.
Yeah,
and it just does that in the entire time. Like, it's every now and then you go into a room, and then you just see her walking by or walking out just as you enter, and you're like, holy shit, I should go back just in case.
Wow.
It's really good.
Actually intimidated.
Yeah, it's a really intimidating part of that game, just knowing that she's around somewhere and could appear. It's the same with Nemesis in Resident Evil 3, when he would just appear out of anywhere. And know.
I mean, I should say then that Alien Isolation is remarkably scary. My hands were shaking after I finished playing it. And also, this is quite embarrassing, but when you do these play tests, some of the development team are usually in the room with you. They're not telling you what to do. They're not influencing you in any way. They just want to see how you view it. It's really useful information.
Yeah,
for
it's
them.
feedback for them.
Yeah, it's feedback for them. And I'm a bit of a jumper at the cinema. And so during this game, the first time I saw the alien, my shoulders went as high as my fucking ears. And I went back as far back in the chair and pulled this stupid face like I was about to get hit by a car.
Turned into a turtle.
And I was like, oh God, I'm going to die. But I didn't say anything, but I was, I was about to almost. And I just stood there. I froze still in the game, and the alien just ran at me, and I was basically like, just take me.
I give up.
Yeah, I would be useless in an apocalypse. I was just like, it's over.
You mentioned it briefly earlier, but the AI part of it. I was watching the developer interview, and they said they recounted a story about one of their testers playing the game and hiding under a desk in the game for about 7 minutes, trying to figure out the patrol pattern for the alien, and then eventually coming to the conclusion that it doesn't have one.
Yeah.
It's just doing what's natural, and that's a big part of the game. Can you talk about that a bit? Or?
Yeah, I know, and I'm not entirely convinced by this. I think it probably will work, but so what they're trying to do is they're trying to build an alien as a killer, not as an NPC character. And the difference is actually very important. So in any game, I don't know, Uncharted or something, all the enemies, they're not actually programmed to be killers, are they?
No, they run routines.
They run routines, but like really fun routines. So there's one that's going to be in a helicopter shooting at you, programmed to miss you all the time. And when you shoot it, it's programmed to fly out of the helicopter, and, a big ball of flames. And, so they're programmed to be as fun as possible.
Yeah.
The alien is programmed to kill you. One of the most amazing things was that they are... so the guy that's the lead designer at Clive Lindop, he clearly is reading a lot of books about predators. Because when I interviewed him...
Worry.
Yeah.
Should be reading books about aliens.
After this, he's just going to be at a loose end for what to do, and shit is going to go bad really, really quickly. He's going to be like, well, I've got all this information on how to be killer. So, and I'm done with this game, so I might as well, apply my trade. He's the next Sherlock villain.
So anyway, he's reading a lot of books on predators, and he said to me, the one thing about predators, how they sort of control their territory and how they sort of become the apex, the key predator in their territory, is that they never want to harm themselves when they kill you. So they never want to run directly at you, because even though they definitely know they're going to kill you, they think, well, if I run, I might get, I might snag my leg on a rock.
And if it bleeds, you can kill it.
That is a Rocky reference.
No, it's Predator.
No, that's Predator.
Oh my God, that was also in Rocky 4.
Was it?
Yeah,
no, is that if he dies, he dies?
No, I'm getting it mixed up. Because
no, it's in that scene where Rocky fights Predator.
When Rocky fights Predator.
That is a fucking film.
Adrian, he just cuts his head off and hangs it on a tree.
And the Predator nearly finishes him off, but Rocky comes back. So he's been reading a lot of literature on predators.
So they don't run straight at you because they'll take a bullet
they might
in
hurt
their
themselves. So what they tend to do, all predators like cats or something, they sneak up on you. I mean, even a lion will sneak up on someone. And why? I mean, it's far. A lion would try and sneak.
Fun.
A lion is it's
programmed for fun.
Is.
They like the stuff.
They like to toy with their, if they're apex predator, you're not just gonna roll up and be like, you're dead, done. They're gonna be like, I'm gonna prove myself. This is why I'm the apex predator.
Yeah.
Shazam! Out for a Morocco. It's like a swat.
Wow. So anyway, they are. Man, we go around the houses.
He's never going to finish this.
No, I still want to talk about Rocky 4. The mistake that I made was when Rocky finally cuts the Russian, he goes, see, he's not a machine.
Oh, no. That is very close to if it bleeds, you can kill it.
Yeah. I got it mixed up. Anyway.
The essence is the same in both of the statements. Yeah.
So anyway, so they're basically designing the alien to be a predator that will sneak up on you, that will look at you and go, okay, I could run across the room and kill him, or I could go under this vent and jump on him and kill him. And when I played the game, I was outfoxed by the alien on a few occasions. The classic thing, when an enemy's coming towards you and there's a big box in the center of the room, what would you do, Tamoor?
hide underneath the box.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a classic thing to do. And the alien was, when I was hiding under this box, I was actually fucking shaking. The alien was sort of crawling around it, sort of trying to get a viewpoint of me, and I was like, fucking hell.
That's where I start circle strafing for my life. Like,
yeah. The problem was that no matter how hard I tried to hide, he did actually find me every single time. So going back to something I was saying like 10 minutes ago, like
pre-Rocky,
yeah, I do think it's an amazingly ambitious idea to try and build this AI killer. I'm not sure if it's going to be fun. That can be fun for 10 hours.
See, I'm a very cynical person and a very suspicious person. And if it gets to the point where, as you say, it's very difficult to hide anywhere because it'll find you, I'll start wondering if maybe it's been programmed to know where you are.
It probably is.
But at which point I would think that's bullshit, because there should be times where it doesn't know where you are and you can outfox it kind of thing. But if it's just a case where, and obviously I've not played it yet, I'm completely guessing here. If it's a case where if you just sit in a box, eventually it'll just home in on you.
Yeah. It might be that, they're still at the point where they're making it, and right now they're focusing on getting him to be as like omnipresent, godlike as possible, and then they'll start poking holes in his AI and saying this is what gets him.
I suppose there'll have to be different difficulty levels, so they'll have to slowly increase its
the
amount of errors it would make.
The weird thing is, like, if it is designed to always know where you are, he's always designed to know where you are and hone in on you. That means that at a certain point you will be forced to engage with him, but at the same time, he needs to be a presence throughout the game. Does that mean that you can't actually like win a battle against him?
Yeah,
is it just that you run away from him, or you do enough damage to him that did they explain how that works at all?
No, they didn't know. I mean, I think these are legitimate questions.
Yeah.
And you can understand why. I imagine we all respect this project.
Oh yeah, it's just the most I've been excited for a game since the DS game.
Yeah, definitely.
But we also know that there's pitfalls here.
Yeah,
quite a few.
Well, the main pitfall being, what are you going to do for the other 15 hours? Because
there's weapon crafting. So
that's the thing. That like they say there's no weapons, but like you said, there's weapon crafting in it. So where does that come in? Is that going to be making blades or pulling pipes off the wall? In which case, fair enough, that makes sense. Or are you going to find a box at one point that's got a load of pulse rifles in it, and it's just another shit alien game again?
There's 30 human character models as well that I saw.
That's what I read. The impression that I got was that the alien is this kind of overarching presence, this threat, but the other threat is the psychological impact he has on other people at the station. So they start turning on each other, and they start hunting you down, and they become volatile, and you have to engage with them as well.
Kind of like the Thing as well, then, in a way.
Yeah, kind of, exactly. Yeah. So your weapons will be used primarily to defend yourself against those people.
Yeah.
As well as, but then what happens when an alien pops up? It's not like your first instinct is, I'm just going to toss this weapon away from me. So like, if you've got a weapon, surely you just fire at it. At which point?
They did tests actually. So they put people in rooms with just the alien, and they gave them They gave these people big, massive plasma guns. These guns looked pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It's a plasma gun. So, and apparently, according to them, every single person that they did that test with, whenever they encountered the alien, they instantly ran.
Yeah.
Never fired the gun once.
That's what I would do. Because the thing is, like, at a certain point, when the threat is too big, you don't want to draw attention to yourself. Yeah. That's what my brain says. Like, if I fire this plasma rifle, it's going to make hella noise. And that thing is going to know exactly where I am. He's probably going to dodge it, and he's going to know exactly where I am and just kill me. Yeah. So it's like, oh well, I'm just going to sneak away then.
Yeah. One thing I just want to mention, it's unrelated to what we've been saying regarding Alien, but I love how tall he is. I love how he doesn't quite fit in the spaceship. Like, he has to hunch over because it's 9 feet tall.
Yeah.
And they're building this ship exactly to scale. And it's just amazing to see this massive thing just like not quite be able to fit through the doors and stuff.
I think they've got a lot of work to undo based on Colonial Marines, because there's that infamous GIF and that video of the alien kind of prancing past a Marine, just being like, and then someone's putting like Cockney threats like, "You what, bruv? I'll deck you. I swear, bruv." And it's like, oh shit.
I'm just happy that for once somebody's making an Alien game rather than an Aliens game. Because it's always put as many. Even Alien 3. Which the movie, the whole point of the movie was there was no weapons in this prison ship. And yet, like, the games were full of different guns and flamethrowers.
Wasn't that on the SNES?
There's a SNES one which was much better than the Mega Drive one. There's two different. Probe made the Mega Drive one. And I can't remember who it was. It made LJN published it, but I can't remember who developed the SNES one. And the SNES one was more like Metroid, because it was a big open map and you had to run about different ceiling doors and that was genuinely terrifying. But again, you had weapons in it. And
there was one on DS as well. I can't remember what the subtitle was. Alien something or another. But that was
wasn't Infestation, was it?
Yeah, Infestation. That was the one. It
Chris
was
knows
very good,
doesn't he?
No, only I've got niche. If it's got horror movies.
Yeah,
in it.
the one on DS is worth tracking down. You could probably find it for cheap as well. It's like a Metroid game, but your soldiers are so fragile. Yeah. It's like you've got to be very careful, methodical. It's almost Dark Souls-esque in the way you go into a room and you're not quite sure what the threats in the room are until you've been through it once. And it's really, really, really like atmospheric. So that's worth checking out.
It was Way Forward. When Way Forward was at the peak.
Forward, yeah.
It was like,
I think one thing that people might want to know or clarify, Aliens fans might want to know, is what's up with the protagonist in this game. Ripley's daughter?
Yeah, Ripley's daughter, Amanda Ripley. The story is Ellen Ripley goes off, does her alien thing. She tells her daughter before she leaves that, she'll be...
I'm off to do some alien things.
Yeah.
I'm off to do some secret work.
And fucking Predator and Rocky. They're somewhere as well.
I'm off to fight Clubber Lang. BRB.
I just know in my head I've got Sigourney Weaver with Clubber Lang in a headlock. And him like trying to break out of it.
Elijah appointment.
Anyway,
Amanda Ripley.
So she tells Amanda she'll be back, and she doesn't come back.
That's the Terminator now.
And Amanda.
I've just got Amanda.
Trying to set the
right, so she leaves
I've
her
just
daughter.
got Amanda Hug and Kiss stuck in my head.
From The Simpsons.
Yeah.
From Moe's.
Right, okay, so she tells Amanda, BRB.
Yeah, BRB.
She says NP.
So 15 years later, Amanda's grown up. She's 26 years old by this point. She doesn't know what happened to her mother. Sort of an unbearable unknowing of what happened. And then she works for the company. Help me out. What's the name of the company?
Is it Weyland-Yutani?
That's the one. She works for them, and they say, right, we found your mother's flight recorder on your mother's ship.
I was really hoping you were going to say she gets a text message from an alien saying, look, come here, man. I've got something for you.
JK.
Lol's picture of like Snapchat with his mom, like selfie. Look what I found.
Of dog or something.
Wow, such mother. Come here. So terrifying.
Much missing.
Yeah.
Which is fucking evil when you think about it.
So basically she goes after her mum and there's aliens.
Yeah.
So Amanda Ripley goes off to a trading station on the fringes of space called the Sevastopol, I think it's called. Mm-hmm. And this is it's a decommissioned trading station. She goes there to find the flight recorder, but nothing is as it seems and stuff. The actual design of the facility, the vessel is just phenomenal. Everything looks like it's been switched off for 15 years or whatever. And when you power things back on, I love how everything sort of slowly lurches back to life. It's
like Windows 8.
It's an interesting one because, I mean...
It's Microsoft in the middle of the
anyone who's seen the special edition of Aliens knows that she'll survive at the end of it.
Yeah.
Because, there's that scene with Ripley and the guy from Mad About You. She says, what happened to my daughter? And he says, this is your daughter. She's like 80 and she's dead. in like Aliens.
Oh my god!
Because this will take place between Alien and Aliens. So in Alien, Ripley goes into goes
that
into
is a
sleep.
really good observation.
Ripley goes into her hypersleep thing.
Does have cancer,
Alien,
doesn't she?
Yeah. And then by Aliens, it's like 80 years later, and she comes out of hypersleep, and she says, "Where's my daughter?" And Paul Reiser, whatever, he says, "Here's your daughter." And she's like, it's like an old woman who was played by her mum in real life, Sigourney Weaver's mum.
No way.
It was a photo. He says, yeah, she died of cancer, like 80 odds. And she goes, oh.
Wow.
She goes, and this is one, by the way, she was like in Alien Infestation as well. He didn't say that, but she probably add that back in.
We've done the ultimate spoiler.
Yeah, thoroughly spoiled that game before it's even out, yeah.
She lives.
But yeah, so based on...
It's not a massive spoiler. I mean, a lot of people have seen Aliens.
Based on Rob's impressions of it and what we've heard, it's something to be excited about, or at least keep an eye on.
7 out of 10.
I said 7. Jeez. I think it's the most. I think so far this is the best chance we've had in a long time.
Yeah.
To get a good, well done Aliens game.
It's going to be released late 2014 is the release date. It's available for Xbox 360. PlayStation 3,
360,
PlayStation 4,
wow,
Xbox One, and PC. Is there any other consoles that have been?
There are other consoles, but they've been unfairly shunned.
They've said it's not going to be available for Wii U already, haven't they?
Yeah, which is a bit.
And they're thinking about Oculus Rift support.
They are thinking about Oculus Rift support for the PC version, which
everyone's on PC is thinking about.
We should move on to a game that you've been playing.
Yeah, I got the opportunity to play Tomb Raider the other day. The Xbox One and PS4 version of Tomb Raider Definitive Edition.
Right. Now the thing is, I've never played Tomb Raider.
Mm-hmm.
I've never played.
This is a game then that will be good for you. It's like I enjoy Tomb Raider a lot. If you go back and listen to the Game of the Generation podcast, myself and Chris were quite up for it. Like we really liked it. I know Chris likes it way more than I do, but I'm still quite a big fan of it. And as someone who played through the original 1.5 times, watched my younger brother play through it once as well. So I've seen a lot of that game. I don't think this will be enough to make me come back and play it again. It is honestly just a kind of touched up version of the original. It very much seems like they're being opportunistic in that release. Like there's nothing else going on right now. There's not a lot to play for, buy and play. So this is kind of like, if we put this out, we've got a good chance that people will buy it again. And a lot of people who never played it might be like, this is the one to get, which is a fair thing to do. And, you know, it is a critically acclaimed game. It's a very good game. So if you haven't played it and you've got these consoles, it's really a no-brainer. Like you pick this game up and buy it. But it is genuinely, the differences are all cosmetic. There's nothing new to it. There's no additional content. There's nothing else, you know, nothing to bring you back if you've already played it before. It's got some, and even still, the cosmetic upgrades are very difficult to see, you know, without someone pointing them out and saying this is what's different. Lara's face, for example, is a big one, and I looked at it and I thought I kind of like the old face better because she looks like more.
Is it approaching Uncanny Valley?
No, not even that. It just looks like her face. The original face was good. I mean, it looked nice. I don't know if that's the way to describe it. She had nice face. I mean, like it looked like Lara, and it looked good, and it was like kind of like well-defined features, like kind of angular almost. But now you look at it, and it seems like, have they just shoved in extra polygons for like no reason whatsoever? Her cheeks are kind of chubbier. Her eyes are wider. She looks a little like, I looked at her and I thought she looks kind of more anime to me, which is weird. She looked less like a human being and more like a game character.
A bit more beautified then, actually.
Kind of,
Does she look more like the actress that played?
No. I think one of the strengths was that she didn't look anything like her. Like she looked like her own character.
Yeah.
And now she looks kind of like I said, like a video game character where you can see the slight exaggerations. Like her cheeks are a little more puffier and her lips are slightly more puffier at the same time.
I don't think I like that.
No, the original Lara, like she looked good. She had kind of smaller eyes. She always looked like she was kind of tired, kind of a gritty face. Now she looks like just like a bit of a model, and it's weird. Like the other
kind of like the whole point of Tomb Raider was that she wasn't just a pair of tits anymore. She was like they'd rounded this character, and now they're kind of going slowly back downhill again. Is it as serious as that?
The thing is, like I the only reason I thought about that is because I was writing a preview on the game, so it was in my interest to look at her face for as long as possible. And,
because they were making a big deal.
For the most part, you won't even recognize it. Like you probably won't even look at it long enough to kind of make judgments on how you feel about it. Like you'll see her face now and then, be like, yeah, it articulates better. Like when she speaks, the lip movements are more defined, and she looks better. But for the most part, you're staring at her ass, like, or her back, and she's doing backflips and being thrown around. You never look at her face too closely. Right, yeah. The other big thing is that her hair, the Tress effects thing, which is they're given each of her hair strands more like freedom and physics.
That sounds immensely boring.
It is. On the one hand, it's incredibly boring. Like it's like, okay, that is...
Some guy had to work on that fucking thing.
It's an NVIDIA thing, isn't it? They introduced it into the PC version. That was a big thing for them. On the one hand, it is pretty boring. Like, you could be like, this is cool, it looks fine, but I could not care less about looking at her hair. But on the other hand, it's quite impressive that it doesn't, like, screw up in the ways that we see commonly. Like, for example, remember when Heavenly Sword came out? They were like, we've put a lot of attention into the way her hair behaves.
They used an entire SPU for the hair.
Yeah, and her hair was going through her face, and it was spazzing out and going crazy.
Right. PlayStation 3.
Yeah, PlayStation 3. But with this, it was very, very... like I put it as well behaved in my preview, which is exactly what it was. It wasn't like possessed at any point. It wasn't flying around like crazy. It was just kind of like reacting to the wind properly. Kind of as she moved, it would like strands would wrap around her neck or just hit her face and kind of go around the contours of her face. But it's, again, who cares? Like after you see that once and be like, it's so realistic that you forget even to pay attention. Like how much do you pay attention to someone's hair in a movie? No one cares really. Yeah. At the same time, they've got other effects, like they've put more fires around the place so you can see more lighting tricks and you can see like embers and stuff like that. But that is pretty much it. There's nothing more to it.
Yeah.
But like I said, having said that, it's an excellent game.
Yeah.
And it's, it's worth playing if you haven't played it. If you're a big fan, then it might be worth picking up. But it comes out at like 40, 50 quid, I think. I think I saw it at £40. But £40 for a game that kind of is that much is very slight in changes. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, I think it's only for people who haven't played it first time round, right?
I mean, I know I'm in the minority because I was a massive fan of the first game, so I'm probably still going to get it. I mean, I'm more interested to see how this trend is going, whether this trend's going to continue, because last gen it made sense to have HD remakes of games because you're going from, you're taking stuff like God of War and Silent Hill and making it high def. There's a clear difference there. Yeah. But going from HD to slightly better HD, it's sometimes going from maybe 720 to 1080, or just going from HD to more powerful, more backgrounds, more lighting effects and stuff. I don't know if that's big enough a leap to encourage people to double dip. I mean, there'd be a lot of people who would buy. I mean, I didn't think about getting. I didn't even have to think about buying Silent Hill HD collection. I just bought it, even though they ballsed it up. I just wanted to see Silent Hill in HD. Yeah. But I'm not. Tomb Raider's one of the few games that I will happily buy this new version of, but I can't see me doing it with a lot. If they did one for, like, say, Borderlands, I wouldn't give a shit.
You've hit the nail on the head. This really is, I mean, the PS4 and the Xbox One work on x86 architecture, which is basically PC-based architecture. Yeah. What they're doing is they're doing what suits them. They've got the high-end PC version code, and they're porting it to consoles. Yeah,
they've just put the sliders up and said, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, there is some work that's gone into it, and, whenever you publish a disc, you are taking a risk, and quite a big risk sometimes. So this is a calculated bet, but nonetheless, one of the reasons why they're doing this is it didn't require that much work.
Yeah. I feel like when I was looking at Tomb Raider, I feel like it felt like they were kind of at the same time using it as an opportunity to see what they could do and get away with. So it was like a lot of these games might be like these re-releases. Tomb Raider, like I said, felt like it. Like them just experimenting with the technology and the hardware just to see, what they can mess around with, what improvements they can add, and see what kind of like where they can go from an old gen game into a current gen game. Yeah. But I think at least for the early stages, we're going to see a lot of these being like opportunistic like bets, and we're going to try and do it. Like, for example, there was news today that Skyrim might be on its way for Xbox One and PS4.
Again. You know, PC was the lead platform on the development of it. We're going to see it a lot more, I think.
That one I can kind of understand because it was a bit broken, in previous gens. So I can understand there'll be a need for some people to play a Skyrim that is a lot smoother. The people who are just against playing on PC, but even then, that's a niche market. That's not. I mean,
publishers aren't, you know, inherently evil. They are just as at risk as anyone else, and they have to test the water. I mean, these are brand new consoles with install bases of 3 million. They've gone from 80 million potential customers per platform to 3 million.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to, you know, grease the wheels a little bit to defend them.
I feel like, but at the same time, I feel like putting out games for that are already available on the old generation might not be achieving that objective as well as it could have. Like, if I was, you know, but also as a consumer and a gamer, I'd prefer them if they release small, kind of slightly shaky but interesting experience. Like, they should be doing indie games right now instead of like re-releasing.
That's. I think that would be more commendable if they said, right, we're just going to get 10 people to 2 years ago. So we're going to get 10 people to design what they want, and they would publish it right now.
Yeah.
But there's another thing going on, which is we've got brand new consoles. The big games for those brand new consoles are going to be like 3 until Christmas, probably. Yeah. About 3, maybe 4 or 5, and they know that there is a big window here. Everyone, well, not everyone, but a lot of people have these consoles. They're excited about these new consoles, and they want something to play on these new consoles.
Yeah,
that's why they're pushing their old stuff.
I just wish they would be a bit more. If they were a bit more savvy with the price, I say savvy, maybe more fair with the price, because I think Game's doing Tomb Raider for 45 quid.
Yeah.
If that was 30 quid, I wouldn't even have to think. I'd be all over that. Even though 30 quid's kind of the top range, considering you could get it on some XBLA sales for like a 10 or 15 quid, and that 30 quid's still a bit much, but I'd be all over that.
Tomb Raider's price stings particularly because there's not a lot of content in there beyond the game. The core game is excellent, like I said, and it's quite meaty, but it's got no extra stuff. Whereas if Skyrim came out at 40 quid, 45 quid with all the DLC that's probably going to be included, like a Game of the Year edition, that's worthy of that price tag. But Tomb Raider especially is not kind of like, that's not enough for me to pay. Like an extra few maps, pre-order Tomb is not enough.
Yeah.
But and anyway, let's move on from that.
Yeah, before we move on, we should plug the Tomb Raider article.
Tomb Raider and Alien. And
what's it called, the game?
Tomb Raider Definitive Edition.
So just Google CVG Tomb Raider Definitive Edition preview, and we'll be up there, won't we?
And Alien Isolation too. Yeah. That's a great preview, you should read that.
CVG Alien Isolation preview. If you Google that, it'll be there, won't it?
It should be near the front of our website as well if you're there anytime soon.
There.
So moving on from that, CES happened and amazing things happened. Michael Bay had a shit fit on
right. As if anyone else could do any fucking better. Like, he's on stage.
Do you know what? I respect what he did so much.
I respect what he did.
Like, look,
he's a human being.
I was paid to appear and put in minimal effort. You are putting extra, responsibility on me. So instead of fucking it up and turning into... I could tell he calculated this. He's like, I could either vanish right now and be a meme for a week, or I could carry on, wing it, and turn into a worldwide meme for the next year and a half. And he was like, I'm out, peace. And he left. And the other guy was like, Michael Bay, everyone.
What I really like, though, was funny, was when the guy from Samsung, who no one remembers anymore, said, so how does the curved screen TV make your film so much better? And he went,
I'm sorry, I can't.
I'm going to have to go.
Yeah, he's like, I'm sorry, I can't do this. Which in my mind was like him saying, fucking nothing. That's what. That was a stupid question. I'm out.
Yeah.
But anyway. Other things get more gaming related. Sony appeared, showed off some interesting things there.
PlayStation
Now,
as it'll be called in Scotland. So that'll
the new PlayStation.
What is PlayStation Now, Chris?
PlayStation Now is something I said last year that I would have liked to see, which is a Netflix style service for games.
So Sony stole that idea from CVG's Chris Scully.
From me. Although I never published it, so they stole it.
Are you going to get a consultancy fee for this?
No, because they didn't consult me. Wow. It's just obvious. The next obvious step.
Having purchased Gaikai, the next step was quite obvious.
Yeah, it wasn't like this crazy days.
So anyway,
so basically the options will be you can either rent individual PlayStation 3 games and play them on your PS4 or Vita, or interestingly, a Sony Bravia TV or one of their phones. Is it one of their phones?
Or one of their tablets.
Yeah, or one of the tablets, which is going to be interesting. So you can either rent titles individually or have like a kind of subscription, a Netflix style subscription where you can play as much as you want. Presumably.
What games can you play?
Apparently, they'll be focusing on PS3 games, first and third party for now.
A third party? I'm not. Really?
That's quite surprising because I expected it would be first party stuff.
Yeah, Mike asked him first and third, and he said,
there is an interview on our website conducted by CVG US, Mike Jackson.
Yeah, read that as well.
Read that, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, if you Google CVG PS Now
interview,
you'll get it.
If you know how to use SEO, employ your tactics.
I'm just trying to help, you know?
It's
a really good interview.
Yeah, it's a great interview.
So for now it'll be PS3 games, but in the future they said PS2 and PS1, and they also kind of almost implied that PS4 would be looking at eventually as well. So in theory, in the future, you may be able to play PS4 games on your PS3, which is a bit mental.
You know, I remember last year when loads of people were talking about how the hardware is the thing that's going to be obsolete. Games will last forever, but under your TV set hardware is eventually going to die away. And that people saying this generation of consoles will be the last was a phrase that turned into a debate of, are games going to go away? It was never really about that. The question is, will these big brick hardware things go away?
I hope they don't, though.
Do you know what? My response to this was, my initial gut response was defensive. Like, I don't want this. It was like an attack. It felt like an attack initially. Like, wait, so you're taking all these experiences that I've paid £600, and you're spreading them to devices that cost half that, and they not even relate to any PlayStation device whatsoever. So someone with a tablet can just roll up and play The Last of Us or whatever PS4 game. I felt quite. And when I went online, I noticed that a lot of people were having that similar response. They felt like they were being kind of having the carpet pulled out from underneath them. Like, this is their domain being encroached on.
I just even the latency issues aside, I just don't think we should completely abandon the concept of owning. Although we don't actually own physical copies of stuff, we should always kind of have that option, because you never know when it's just going to be wiped. I mean, you look at the Wii Virtual Console, doesn't have any of the Donkey Kong Country games on it anymore because Nintendo just took them off a few months ago and no one knows why. So I went on Netflix the other day to watch Halloween 6. Don't ask, because I noticed a few months ago that
the other day. So in December, you're watching
because I noticed a few months ago that Halloween 6 was on. I said, it's good, only watch that again. Went on and it had been taken off because it was only up there for a limited time. I don't like the thought of maybe thinking, I'm in the mood for fucking Twisted Metal. Black, right. Twisted Metal Black going on there, and it's not there anymore. I don't like.
Well, they give you the option to purchase.
I think it's to rent.
No, you can. Wait, was it just rent or purchase?
I don't know, but I mean, I think it's safe to presume that this will be renting it. You won't ever own these things. It's like on live, isn't it? You won't ever. You have access to the stream.
I would have thought, obviously, it's probably not like this, but I would have thought there would be stream it or whatever, rent it, and then buy for offline,
I don't think you could properly sell to someone.
Maybe not.
I don't think you could say to someone, hey, do you want this? You can't have it. We'll stream it to you and it'll be full price and you can own it. I think people will be like, that doesn't sound like a good deal. But if you say to them, do you want to rent this via a stream? It's
the prices I'm most curious about.
Yeah.
Because they have to be dirt cheap. Do you know what I mean? If they're saying, well,
they won't be that cheap. If they're putting PS4 games in it,
PS4 games
devalue the PS4.
Definitely not PS4 games. PS3
Even
games.
PS3 games, the amount of data you're having to move to stream that to someone, it's got to be expensive for them. Even for stuff like Netflix, it's like a movie in its current resolution is maybe a few gigs to move from one point to another. Same with other streaming services. I use Comics. Comics is a few hundred megabytes at most. So they can afford to charge for £5 a month for a membership on Netflix, and a couple of 30 quid a year is for my Marvel membership, but I'm moving like 20-30 megs at most at a time. But with a game like Last of Us, that's what, 40 gigs or something.
That's right.
That has got to be expensive for them in the long run when they have that many people doing it. So I think it's going to be one of the most expensive like membership fees to have.
It's 40 it's 40 gigs, but at the same time 40 gigs isn't necessarily what's being sent to you, because it's just the video feed you're getting. So if you only play it for an hour, say,
yeah,
that might only be like a gig.
But what I think Tamoor is saying is that the size of each product is going to have some sort of effect on the business plan itself in terms of storage and streaming. I think it will probably have some effect, especially if you have all these server farms.
Yeah,
that have
you got to
sell in terms of storage, but I wouldn't have thought so in terms of streaming, because I could be playing.
No, you're right. Actually,
I could be playing like the shittiest, like Streets of Rage collection, or I could be playing Last of Us.
There's nothing shitty about Streets of Rage.
No, but I mean in terms of size. That listen, you're preaching the converted. But I mean that download is like 40 megs, and Last of Us is like 4 gigs. But in terms of upstream, you're getting exactly the same data.
But I mean, earlier on you touched on something really interesting, which is
she said.
Which is
move on.
Chris.
Move on.
You touched on something really interesting, which was this whole ownership issue. And believe me, over the next 5 years, it will become the dominant story in games. That the ownership of video games is going from the gamer who has this disc to the publisher. And you know, I know you say gamers don't technically own these games; they own the license. I mean, the point is that if an atom bomb fell,
none of us would be worrying about games.
On England, we would get a sense of perspective and not play games anymore.
I'd be running towards it.
But also, if there was a nuclear war right now and I was in a bunker, and I had some,
you'd stand there and fright like if an alien was coming towards you.
I knew this wasn't going to fucking work.
He'd be like frozen.
No, I realise what you're saying.
I have that disc and it is mine.
Yeah.
And I mean, even if Sony Suits came around and said no.
Meanwhile, the guy next to him's got a can of beans and he's like, "Are you feeling all right? That's a disc. You can't eat that."
He's putting his tongue through the middle of it.
Brilliant. Well,
I see what you're saying.
I was trying to make an important point about the fact that you will have your discs for as long as you want. Yeah. And if Sony came to your door and said, "No, that's ours," actually, you'd tell them to fuck off. And they wouldn't ever do it anyway. And I'm sure if you went to court about it, they could never say that they own that disc.
Yeah, agreed.
They could never take it away from you. From now on, that's going to change. That is going to change. If the people who run the servers hold the physical copies, we're going to see more and more of what what publicists and PR agents are calling sunsetting, which is turning off the servers. Now, some people might think sunsetting is a good term for killing a game. I think a more accurate term would be depraving. Sorry, depriving.
I was going to say
depraving.
Manhunt. Yeah,
that is quite depraved.
Euthanizing.
You are essentially depriving people.
Waiter.
You're basically saying, oh, so you've invested how many hours into this crappy online game?
No, fuck off.
This farm game? 20 hours, okay. And how much money have you spent? About 30 quid, right? I would buy. What? Where's my game? It's gone. We it's like, I don't like that the ownership of it changing hands. And it will be a big story because one day there is going to be a game like The Last of Us that will close down when everyone has paid for it and everyone's put loads of hours into it. And the reason why they close it down is not because it's not immensely profitable. It's just because it's only kind of profitable, and they want to flood their servers instead with super profitable stuff. You know, that's going to happen.
It's going to be World of Warcraft, isn't it?
That's
it might be World of Warcraft.
It might be, yeah.
It might be World of Warcraft.
I think when they decide that needs to go, or it needs to be shut down.
And because there'll probably still be 1 million people on it when they decide to shut it down, right?
Because that's basically, I mean, there's so much built on that. Time has been invested. Chinese gold farmers are just going to be like, oh dear Lord, what do we do now? I think that might be one. That's potentially one of the ones that could spark a conversation about it. But yeah,
the other reason I think they need to be cheap is if the options are a rental or purchase or whatever it is, or a monthly subscription.
Yeah.
How much can that monthly subscription realistically be that people want to go in? I can't see that being any more than £20 a month. People agreeing to do that. When you start hitting £30 a month just to get an old back catalogue, even though that's good value for money, people are going to think fuck off. So if you're paying £20 if you're paying £20 a month, let's say it was £20 a month. If you're paying that, and it needs to be that because Netflix is like £6. And although games are more expensive, people in their minds just see it as this one form of entertainment versus another. So £20 a month. So how much is a single game going to cost? It can't be any more than £20. It's got to be like a tenner at most.
By the way, incidentally, I am a bit worried that that there's going to be an online subscription bubble and crash.
You think so?
Well, only because every single piece of content now and every single service is turning into its own subscription service. So you have Netflix, you now have PlayStation Now, you have Spotify, blah blah blah. You also have, which was announced yesterday, the WWE network.
Sold. 100%.
Now, obviously, I'm
before we
start
talking about wrestling, and I know you're going to go on for ages. I have a question. What happens, or something for you to think about? What happens to PlayStation Plus, and maybe the subscription? How much it costs to subscribe to PlayStation Plus when PlayStation Now comes out? Do you think they're going to be two separate things, or will they be folded into one thing?
I think they'll be separate. This is completely made up here. I think they'll be separate, but if you're on PlayStation Plus, you'll get the subscription cheaper. So say it'll be £25, but if you're on PlayStation Plus, then it's £20 or something.
Right.
I think it's really hard to tell.
Yeah.
I think there will be a clear value proposition by saying it is free on PlayStation Plus, and they will drive up PlayStation Plus subscriptions.
But in terms of what happens,
they'll lose money doing that though.
In terms of what happens,
because PlayStation Plus,
the priority is getting everyone on PlayStation Plus. That is absolutely the priority, because the key thing is once you're on PlayStation Plus, you have no reason to walk away from it.
PlayStation Plus numbers have rocketed already, haven't they?
Yeah, based on PlayStation 4,
PS4 needing it.
Yeah, but they need. I mean, one of the key successes of Xbox over the past 5 years is they got everyone paying a monthly fee.
Yeah.
They didn't even have to release games anymore. They stopped pretty much. So and Sony knows this. Sony knows that the key thing is getting everyone on board. That's the only important thing. Get everyone paying a fee every single month.
It's kind of weird that you'll have one service giving you limited access to games based on a subscription fee, whereas its sister service will give you the entire game. Like, because in PlayStation Plus, you download the entire game.
Yeah.
It's a hard proposition.
Yeah, it's weird. It's going to be weird balancing them and getting them right.
I desperately wish Nintendo would do it with Virtual Console.
Yeah, this is something we talk about a lot, don't we?
£10 a month. Here's your catalogue.
I think Nintendo games are too good for that to be economically viable. So if you released Super Mario World on Virtual Console, I would just play that all day long. I wouldn't play Pikmin 3. I wouldn't play Super Mario 3D World. I would just play Super Mario World.
I mean,
if you have that library, is what I'm talking about.
And it might be a little more penetrative with the current Wii U audience, because the current adoption is very hardcore Nintendo fans. But if you think about what Nintendo's trying to be and what kind of people it targets a massive group of mixture of casual and hardcore gamers. So a lot of those people, out of all those people, how many of them would actually have an interest in going back and playing Ice Climbers and all this kind of stuff? You have a massive service. You have this service with massive scope, but a small amount of people only fully using it. Like, not a lot. Like, people who play Wii Sports and Wii Fit aren't going to be like, I'm going to go back and play the old,
Well, they could use the Wii Sports model then, in terms of here's all our NES and NES, our NES and SNES and N64 games. If you want to buy one of them, it's £3. If you want Super Mario Bros, it's £3. If you want unlimited access to all of them for 24 hours, it's a £5 or whatever. If you want a month of them, it's £15.
That. I mean, that's actually personally quite tempting
because you could have like retro nights, get all your pals over.
Yeah, that's right.
It's almost like a karaoke type system.
For some reason, when I have friends over, the only thing we want to play is Nintendo consoles. because they tend to have those games that are just really fun to just chill out with together.
Because you'll have a mate who says, "Oh, do you remember Wave Race?" And you'll say, "Oh, yeah, I remember Wave Race, but I'm paying £7 for it." Whereas if you've got like a monthly, like you've got a £10 a month or £15 a month to access the whole library, you say, "Well, yeah, let's play Wave Race for 10 minutes and then never play it again." But at least
that's a great idea.
Well, you've got that idea out now. It's in the public.
So we're on PlayStation now.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, the thing is, we do actually sound quite down on it.
Oh, no, I'm up for it.
But I think we are saying all this on the presumption that we're all actually very
excited.
Yeah. I find it quite interesting that we were talking about the critical points first, but I mean, I honestly can't believe how smart Sony have got in the past 3 years.
Yeah. Like, it helps that they've sold 4.2 million PS4s now.
Yeah, but like everything they're doing at the moment is, I mean, PlayStation Plus was the first right step.
Yeah. The
entire design principles and the commercial rollout of PlayStation 4 was error-free, and I've never seen that by Sony, let alone the PlayStation.
Does NAC count as an error?
I would tell you what, I was worried about lag, what that would be like, but then the other night I tried On Live again for the first time in months and months and months. Have you tried it recently?
No.
Because they've improved it quite a bit to the point that lag is almost non-existent on the PC client at least.
Wow.
So I recommend anyone listening to this to go and download On Live client because it's free, and subscribe to it and try some of their free trials and see how good the lag or lack thereof is. Now that's how good PS4 could be. Because it's
it
really
might be a combination of people abandoning the service or not having a lot of people. But I'm guessing based on the kind of the scope at which they've talked it up, they came out big and had very small adoption. So they might have a lot of like free space and empty servers and that kind of thing. On top of that, PC clients are generally a little more better in terms of performance. Yeah. So I mean, Sony said did they put out? I think I read that they said you need to have a minimum of 5 meg connection,
which I'm dubious about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 5 megs these days is nothing. Like everyone gets a basic
we're living
package.
in a world where we're talking about 5 meg as nothing.
Yeah.
Old 33.3 kilobyte Dreamcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are definitely excited about this. I'm more so excited about I'm hoping that they can get third parties on board in a big way, which they've been quite good with PlayStation Plus. I mean, games are out for a month before they're on PlayStation Plus, to the point where for Vita titles, I don't even think about buying them. I just assume it's going to be free at some point. Yeah. I'm just counting down the days until Tearaway's there, and I've passed up opportunities. So those are first party, but they're really good at third party developer relations at the moment. So I'm hoping they can negotiate like PS2, PS3 era games to be on that service.
Yeah,
like I'd love to play Metal Gear again.
I'm also hoping, I'm not sure if this will happen, I don't think it will, I'm hoping to go down more the WWE Network route rather than the Netflix route, and saying from day one, here's fucking everything. Here's the entire, as much of the PS3 library as we can get. Yeah. Instead of, but I realise realistically that probably won't happen. WWE Network works because they own all their own content, so they can just say here it all is. Yeah. Whereas Sony can probably from day one say here's all our first party games, but we now need to negotiate with Capcom, we need to negotiate with Konami, we need to negotiate with.
Yeah, I mean, there are some companies that have released PlayStation 1 games that are now defunct, and the ownership of those licenses are part of a legal problem. There's loads of games like that. And
so at the very least, I hope from day one they just put out everything they have access to, instead of saying, here's God of War, we'll give you God of War 2 in a month's time. I want to go straight to God of War 2.
I don't think they can do that. If you're paying a subscription fee for a service, there's no way they can do incremental updates. They need to launch with a catalog big enough that when they take stuff
That's
out...
on the assumption that it's a standalone subscription fee and not an additional bonus to PlayStation
It's like if
Plus.
Netflix launched with 5 items and they were like, we're taking one away and then giving you another one next week, there's no way people would pay monthly for that. There needs to be big enough library so that when they take something, people either won't notice or they'll just think, it's all right, I've got this other thing here which is really good, and they can replace that in their own time.
I think what we can see is clear is that the situation is fluid, and Sony have a number of options, none of which seem to be the perfect silver bullet at the moment. I mean, they're going to have to weigh up everything.
Yeah, but at the moment they're so good at making decisions, and
that's why I think there'll be some sort of, even maybe a limited service on PlayStation Plus, and maybe just a few pounds more. So there might be 2 tiers of PlayStation Plus, like a bit like silver and gold, right?
Yeah,
PlayStation Plus. or something along those lines.
I'm just really happy that they I mean, we've seen this is what became of Gaikai, and I didn't expect that we'd see that for a long time. So it's quite surprising, and it's kind of quite good that we've seen it so early in the year.
Just one more question before we move on to, I imagine we're going to talk about Steam boxes before we go, right?
Yeah.
Do we think PlayStation Now, because all you need is a DualShock, do you think PlayStation Now will come to PC?
I don't think so, no.
I think it absolutely will.
Really?
I think they are going to go hard on PC.
Maybe,
do you think they can that might be used as a way to kind of absorb the PC developer market at the same time? If they can publish on PC and say, we've got our games here, you give us your games, we'll put it on our servers, and then you're in PlayStation.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
It might, but at the same time, don't forget Sony has to sell hardware as well, and it's pretty deliberate that all
they
this
sell
stuff.
hardware at a loss.
I know, but even so, it's at a loss. But it also locks people into their hardware, and is telling that they've not said iPhone or iPad and like that. It has to be a Sony.
No,
it has to be a Sony phone, or it has to be a Sony tablet, or it has to be a Bravia.
They've got plans for Android. They've got plans for Android and iOS. Yeah.
At the same time, I mean, you're better. Yeah, the chances of selling, of getting someone to sign up for a service where they're paying every month is probably better. They're paying a little bit every month is probably better than getting someone to spend £400 at once to buy a console or £800 to buy a Bravia TV. So, and in the long run, psychologically, people they only really think about the first month, don't they? Like, and from Sony's perspective, they know they've got those people locked in for £40 every month. Yeah. So exactly. On PC, it still works.
Yeah, I think there's nothing to stop them on PC. I think you can buy a DualShock pretty cheap. And I think they're going to go hard on Valve's audience. I really, honestly do. I mean, and that doesn't surprise me. Valve are trying to go in the living room anyway. Yeah. So
I think the weirdest thing that I saw was like when someone, I think it was a Sony person, said you can start your PS4 game on your PlayStation 4 in the living room and then continue playing it on your PlayStation 3 in your bedroom. Yeah. I was like, wow, that is weird. That is like backwards compatible next gen games. Yeah, that's so strange.
No, that was a press release that was poorly worded. When they said that, what they meant was is you can play a game on your PS4, so it could be like a retro game.
Yeah. It's more likely a PS3 game being played on your PS4. Yeah, and then going back to it. Yeah. But I guess based on what they're saying, at a certain point, all games will be playable on all devices, right?
No, new PlayStation 4 games are always going to be £40
on
$60.
Yeah, based on what you think, as in disc. Like they need to protect the value
they
of
need
PS4,
to protect the high price.
It's interesting, but let's move on to the next thing, which is Steam Box. All the Steam boxes are out; they're everywhere.
They are everywhere.
Personally, I looked at them and I thought that is way too expensive. A lot of them are way too expensive for me. And it was kind of like, I've got my PC currently. Like, I don't understand what the difference is.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I get it less and less every time they say something more about it. Like, it's like we want to get. I understand that they want to put a console out and they want to, or they want to be in the living room, but it just seems like they should just. Personally, I just want them to put one thing out and say this is it. Instead of being like every Alienware coming along and being like, I've got this, we've got this, we've got that. Like consumers in the living room that are buying stuff for their living room, so easily confused by stuff like this. Yeah. So if someone goes into a store and says, I want to buy a Steam box. Do you want an Alienware Steam box? Do you want a Dell Steam box? Do you want a Valve Steam box? Which one do you want? There's too much options. I don't like it.
And no disrespect to Sony, but I was thinking about this the other day. They have built the most rudimentary, bare bones console you could ever imagine. GPU, CPU, controller, goodbye.
That's the strength of the PS4.
That is it. And some cheap plastic, right? The reason why they've done that is because they're immensely smart. They thought, we've got to think about every single consumer. Yeah. So we have to think about every single person, and we have to make it as cheap as possible and as basic as possible, which is why the PS4 is like it is. And it's why the Steam machines they're not commercially viable. They will not sell at all. I mean, I remember doing a blog post on this very subject last year,
Yeah. If you Google it.
If you Google CVG Rob Crossley was right. No, but the point is that
I say, did you mean? Did you mean Journey is great?
That would be a great one. Anyway,
yes.
I think Valve makes so many right decisions, and I have immense respect for the company, but I am just startled by how many mistakes they're making with this whole proposition.
I don't understand where they're coming from as well, because it's such a smart company. Do you think it's being mixed up with all these different PC hardware manufacturers that everyone, if you're going to release something like PC architecture-wise, you need to appease so many different important companies? Like you don't want to cut Alienware out from something like this. At the same time, you don't want to like shun Nvidia for another company, or is it because they need to be as open as possible so that they don't upset relationships with these hardware manufacturers? What do you think is causing this?
Well, I think to succeed in business, you got to do two things. You got to do things right, obviously, but at the same time, you got to do things wrong. And by that I mean you have to take risks that everyone says don't do that. What the fuck are you doing? Oh my god, don't do that. Like
Steam.
Like Steam, that's a fantastic example. So many people at the company said Steam was a bad idea. Like the Wii Remote. Yeah. Like, don't do the Wii Remote. Are you mental? Have you seen it? But they did it. You have to do things wrong, and you have to bet significant amounts of money on things that are wrong. What Valve are doing is they're doing everything right, but they're too afraid to go big on it. So they're designing this hardware. Well, they're designing the controller and designing the operating system. They're considering themselves an enabler. It's because they don't want to get involved. They don't want to put their company on the line. And I appreciate that, right? They're important people. I actually love them. But they don't want to take the risk. And you can see the problem that is causing. Yeah. If they said, we're going to build our own controller, we're going to partner with one manufacturer, Samsung, Google, all those horrible people that we don't like. We're going to partner with one of them. We're going to make loads of them. We're going to lose a lot of money. We're going to sell them to everyone and maybe make that money back. I mean, Gabe Newell is too smart. He's going to go, well, that's a massive risk. Yeah. And it's not worth that risk because we've got 65 million customers. Yeah. So, and you can see that. You can see they're being a bit too smart, and they have to be a bit rougher, if you ask me. They have to be a bit, we're going to sell our own console and market it. That
approach and that strategy is the same strategy that every company that, the big three nowadays have to use. They took a risk and lost money in making. Microsoft did it for the Xbox, Sony did it for the PlayStation, and I'm assuming Nintendo did it.
Yeah, people piss on the Wii U all day long, right? At least they're doing something. Yeah. Yeah, sure, what they did was pretty bad. But at least, they had I'm talking about the hardware itself. I mean, the software's great, but the hardware itself is so flawed, deeply flawed throughout. But you have to take these risks in order to grow the industry. Yeah. Xbox Live was a risk. It was. In 2002, it was a risk. And, they led the way for, 8 years? 9 years? 10 years after that? It's because you have to do things wrong sometimes. You have to take that risk. And if Valve don't, then
it's an ambitious idea, but they're playing it too safe.
Yeah,
I just don't know who they're aimed at. It's like, is it aimed at the hardcore? I hate the word hardcore, but the hardcore PC gamer who is obsessed with PC games and wants to play on his TV. If so, he'll have already figured out a way to do that.
Yeah.
Is it aimed at the kind of normal man on the street and they're muscling in on PlayStation and Xbox's market? Well, if so, they're perfectly happy with the PlayStation and Xbox. They've never heard of a Steam machine. Yeah. And if Nintendo isn't fucking selling, then something they've never heard of isn't going to sell. I mean, there's so many PC gamers who are so anti-console gaming in the first place that they don't want to play a fucking thing on their TV. Yeah. And the ones who do have already figured it out by stretching an HDMI cable around or using a wireless method.
Yeah. And right, so say you're a Steam customer, right? Yeah. You've got a £1,000 PC at home. $1,000 PC at home, or 500. Let's say 500. You got a £500, $500 PC at home, right? You love Steam. You've got Steam. You've got hundreds of games, right? how am I going to sell you this box, which is another PC for your telly, right? It's going to be a bit more expensive.
It's got far fewer games.
And it's got 200 Linux games, or access to 200 Linux games, of which you have the license for about a quarter of them. How could I even possibly sell that to you?
And you can also use your PC to do your work.
So it's a rudimentary
or edit
PC.
videos.
Well, it's
a bare bones PC. Yeah.
They've started it.
I say this on Twitter the other day, and some people got the wrong idea of what I meant. It is an Ouya with a fan base. But in that, but not
Ouya triggers so many emotional responses.
I know, but it's an Ouya in that. That's why people were saying, but it'll be more. But I just mean purely in that it's a walled garden. Is that the right phrase?
Yeah, it's completely unwalled though, because they're not. It doesn't even exist. They're just saying to manufacturers make
in terms
PCs.
In terms of what it is when you put that box on, it's like these are the games you can play on this. That's it. Whereas Steam, you've got Steam, but you've also then got games that aren't on Steam.
Yeah.
Like I was saying in the office the other day, sometimes I want to play Theme Hospital because Theme Hospital is a great game.
Yeah.
It's not on Steam, so I just say fuck off Steam. I'll just play Theme Hospital instead. I can't do that.
You tell your PC to fuck off.
Oh yeah, regularly.
Not even PC software within the PC.
Exactly. Steam.
Did you have a Kinect for
it? It's worth mentioning that, like you said, Valve are taking steps to try and address the issue with, like what you said, a PC gamer who has thousands of games. They've got that one feature where you can stream your PC games from one.
But they're talking that down now. They're now saying
it's weird, but like
this is the thing. This is the thing I don't understand. Is that if this is a feature, why couldn't they have just made? They've already got their Steam TV fucking thing.
Big picture mode, which was free and awesome. So let's be fair.
Why can't they just make a tiny cheap box which streams from you plug a dongle in your PC, you plug this into your telly and just stream it, and that's it. That's the end. That's your Steam machine. Is Steam on the PC you've already got. It's a controller. And if you don't have a PC, buy a PC because it'll be just as cheap, and you can do all this other shit on it.
Thing that
your Steam machine is your fucking box that connects to the wireless dongle.
I think they eventually probably will do that.
It's just
that I don't know who they're going to find, but they will eventually find someone that says, we'll manufacture 1 million pucks for you, like Apple TV pucks, and we'll manufacture those controllers for you, and we'll do it at this price and get this much.
The thing that I think about is, I know when I say this, people say, "Oh, that's not right," but in a big way, PC gaming is somewhat limited in what it does by what's the experience is being made for console, right?
Yeah.
As in, like, the majority of games, they are created with console in mind, and then they have better versions for stuff like Assassins that's targeted towards the console, and then they have a better version, more like unrestrained versions for the PC. So if that's what the primary thing that you're trying to pitch to people who are going to buy this thing for the living room, why wouldn't they just buy a PlayStation 4 instead? So you're left with stuff like the quirky stuff that Steam can do, the indie games, the alphas, the early access stuff.
Yeah, 200 of 3,000.
Yeah, exactly. But why would you create a device that costs £500 to or £600 plus to experience those games? Like, at a certain point, I think they should have just made like a Steam tablet or something. Something really small and simple, like what Chris said, that can do the bare bones basic stuff for the people, instead of this massive, weird, all-encompassing, but like not a master of any device.
Yeah.
It's also, I mean,
agreed.
I'm slightly out of touch with the PC gaming scene, but what is the most common resolution people play at? Surely it's higher than 1080p. I would have thought.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
So you're also asking people to downgrade, because most people who have a TV in the living room isn't a 4K TV.
Yeah.
So most people are going to be limited to 1080p, and they'll be saying, "Well, I'm used to playing at higher resolutions than that on my PC. Why have I just paid fucking between $500 and however many $1,000 it is to downgrade to have less games at a lower resolution?"
Yeah.
It's
such a weird strategy, but
and like earlier on, I was telling you about how much I love playing on Nintendo consoles when I have my friends over and play around the TV and stuff. But sometimes I want to go in my bedroom and turn my light off. And hang on.
Get Rocky IV on.
That scene where he fights Predator and just fap.
Go in my
If
bedroom.
it bleeds, I can dig
Go in
it.
my bedroom, turn off my light, sit on my desk, turn on my PC, and play some PC games because you get
go blind.
yeah, because you get absorbed in a different world. Like PC gaming is on your desk, and you are alone. No one has 2 chairs for their desk.
You should bear in mind
No
that
one.
most of the time Rob's playing Football Manager. So different world is like spreadsheets. And
I played XCOM actually the other
Good stuff.
day.
Good stuff.
It's just like PC gamers are PC gamers for a reason. They've got a very specific set of properties that they enjoy. They like the fact you can modify games. They like the fact that it's the kind of them and its screen, and they've got their keyboard and their mouse, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And all I can see the Steam machine doing is saying to them, all this stuff you love that makes you proud to be PC Master Race and all this shit that they talk about, we are now going to take all that away from you, and you're now left with a console
for £500.
that you spend most of your time putting down because you'd rather play PC games. Now you're playing a console that you didn't want
weird
to play.
controller that replaces a mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
I mean, earlier we started this discussion by saying what I said. Valve were trying to be too smart about this, and I guess when you actually cross-examine the whole model, I think what they're doing now, this half in, half out approach, is the only thing they can do. Because if they went all the way in on this, I think they'd be losing tons of money.
I think that's thoroughly covered the Steam stuff. I think we've been going for a really long time, but before we do vanish, it's worth talking about briefly Evolve, the game from Turtle Rock Studios, the former Left 4 Dead developers. They have a new game, which is in the same vein. I've been away for a while, so I haven't been keeping a close eye on it. But I have brief details on it. It's very much similar to
tell you what,
Dead.
because we don't have time, why don't you just list through some key details?
Okay, so
about
apparently they've been working on it for around 3 years. This is the game that was formerly to be published by THQ, but obviously THQ went down the shitter, and now it
went down the shitter.
Yeah, I think 2K is doing it now. So yeah, so it's like this massive.
Time.
It's got these massive open world environments. It's very similar to Left 4 Dead. You've got your team of 3 or 4 people. You each got a specific set of skills, and you are hunting one alien monster, which is also being played by a different player. But that alien monster is incredibly powerful and evolves in power during as the game goes on. But yeah, that's I think that's slated for 2014 as well. I know that we're getting hands-on time with it, or we're seeing it later this month at some point.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we were allowed to say it. Don't matter.
No. Yeah, so
we're
bound to see it sooner or later. So it might be.
Publishers show us games.
Yeah. So it might be this month. It might be next month. It might be the month after. Yes, that's a 1 versus 5 multiplayer game. We've got details about it on the website. If you Google Evolve details CVG,
I think it's a good idea.
It's a great idea. But yeah,
all right.
Yeah, you can see that. And
just briefly before we go, I want to say anyone with an Xbox One should get Max Curse of the Brotherhood because it's excellent. Yeah,
excellent.
That's all.
That's good stuff.
I know I linger on.
Oh, and also, good. By the way, I finished Super Mario 3D World.
I finished it as well, actually.
I got all 480.
I actually finished it.
280 stars.
I finished the main game. I didn't finish the 4 extra ones.
This is pathetic, but it took me more than 10 hours to complete Champion Road. I didn't. This is the final level. Yeah. My God, what a spellbinding level. Yeah. It's just incredible.
Have you bought NES Remix yet?
Yeah, my housemate has. Yeah, it's really hard. Like, you have to be like, you have to play Donkey Kong as Link, who can't jump.
That's my perfect game.
I've been playing loads of Bravely Default.
Oh right, awesome.
For 3DS. Sorry, that game is amazing. If you're a Final Fantasy fan and you've been crying yourself to sleep because Square Enix are utterly shitting it up right now with Final Fantasy games, this is the game you want to buy. If you're that much of a Final Fantasy fan, it is worth buying a 3DS for. It's such a good game. Classic Final Fantasy. Very small tweaks to the battle system where it's like the only real massive change is the fact that you can decide to store up moves, so defend instead of attack, and it lets you save up attacks so you can spam them in a streak or whatever. But yeah, it's really good, really fun game.
While we're here,
yeah,
also want to say the iPad game called Badlands I've just been playing. Badlands. It is Limbo mixed with Tiny Wings. Beautiful beautiful, gorgeous presentation, amazing sound design, really inventive, really inventive. If you've got an iPad, you like video games, you should definitely give this a try.
While we're here, Doctor Who Legacy on iOS is obscenely addictive. I've been playing it for a month and a half now. Great. It's basically a rip-off of Puzzle and Dragons. But with Doctor Who characters. It's amazing. So we've got an interview lined up soon with this development staff. So
I'm also selling a cupboard.
While we're here,
I've seen his cupboard. I've seen his cupboard. Stay away.
While we're here, I've been playing Dota 2.
Have you really?
Playing Dota 2? Yeah. I've gone through all the training stuff. It's really, really good. Awesome. I've been trying to. There's one point where you so you know how Dota works in middle lanes and all this stuff, and there's a point where you have to really know your character. So one of the training levels is like, do this middle lane fight, which takes about half an hour with a character, and do it with 15 different characters. So I have played up to like 15, 20 hours of that game, doing a training stage over and over again with different people. I'm just going in a straight line, killing everything to the end. But it's kind of fascinating, and it's weirdly good. But they've introduced a training mode where you can have another player tutor you in game. Right. So if there's anyone out there that's a good Dota player and wants to tutor me, please get in contact.
And finally, while we're here, the robot was the best thing about Rocky 4. Happy birthday, Polly.
That was Rocky 3.
Was it?
Oh, I don't know anymore.
I thought he was really rich by Rocky 4.
No, he's rich in Rocky 3, isn't it? No, in Rocky 3, it's all about his journey, isn't it? It's like, because it's the first time he loses, and Mick dies. Yeah. No, he's really rich when Mick dies, though, isn't he?
No, because the 3... Is it 3 where he fights Hulk Hogan and does all the adverts? Yeah. So that's the start of it. So he's not rich yet.
But that was what it was about, though.
But by the very start,
comes from the streets, and Rocky comes from privilege now.
Yeah, but by in the start of 3, he's starting to make his money by doing the promotion shit. But at the start of 4, he's already rich. Hence the robot. He's got the mansion and he's got the robot.
Oh, you are right, actually, because Apollo Creed is also in the mansion.
Why would you name your son Clubber?
That's right.
Huh?
Why would you name your son Clubber?
It might just be a nickname, a moniker. His real name's Clive Lang.
Yeah.
Rocky. Norman Lang.
KD Lang. Is that KD Lang?
And while we're here, finally, everyone should read Superior Spider-Man. It's a great comic book in which listen to this, Peter Parker dies.
What?
Spoilers.
He's killed by Dr. Octopus, but Dr. Octopus figures out a way to transfer his mind and consciousness into Peter Parker's body. So Peter Parker dies in the body of Dr. Octopus, and the new Spider-Man is Dr. Octopus.
That's some goofy
How
shit,
amazing is that? It's so good because this villain is Spider-Man, but he's like somehow compelled to be a good Spider-Man, but he's got all these villain strategies and skills, so he's like, I am the best Spider-Man there ever fucking was. And he takes care of business so well. Yeah, it's great. It's a great series. You should read it.
I've got nothing else to declare. Anything else to declare?
No? I could be here all day.
Yeah, we should get back to work.
Yeah. So, before we go, you can read our website on at cvg.co.uk, or if you like typing in long URLs, computerandvideogames.com.
Or just Google CVG.
CVG.
When you'll get. Why don't you start bookmarking us?
Yeah.
And turn off ad block. Come on, that helps us, guys.
Yeah, please. Jeez.
What is your problem?
You can follow us on Twitter at CVG_news.
That is the most predictable thing ever. When someone complains about ads on a site, get CVD ads, and then someone like who thinks he's like discovered the penicillin goes, "Why don't you try ad block?" We know. Fuck off.
Yeah.
It's built into the browser by default. Shut up. So follow us on Twitter at CVG_news. We're on Facebook, Computer and Video Games. Follow us on Twitch at CVG_live.
Do we have a YouTube channel tomorrow?
Yeah, it's CVG.
I'm not seeing a theme here.
Great. We've got loads of videos on there. Twitch, I say, because we're bringing back our live plays in a big bad way this year. This is like
not bad as in like bad, but bad
big
as in
bad
ill.
Ass way. And then you can follow us. Live. That was a Kanye West Jay-Z reference there. And then you can follow us all personally on Twitter. I'm at Tamoor H. Rob is at Rob _Crossley _.
I'm still speaking to other Rob Crossleys on Twitter to try and get their name.
Yeah, no one's got. There's one guy who's called Tamoor, just Tamoor. I was like, maybe I can get.
And I imagine one tweet.
No, he's a well-known published author, like fantasy novelist. I was like, fuck, never getting it off of him, ever. Chris is Scully
1888. It's the same year the mighty Glasgow Celtic were founded.
No one cares.
That's why.
No one cares. No one cares. No one cares.
Well, now I know all your passwords. So
You think that, but no.
And you can follow us or add us on Xbox Live and stuff as well, can't they? You can.
Please be our friends.
Yeah, please be our friends. Actually, find us. You can find us on there using our profiles online.
Yeah.
Do some Google work. We're not going to tell you them here.
I'm not going to come back next week.
Why not?
Just don't want to.
Fine. Fair enough. Fair play.
No, I might do it.
On that bombshell.
On that bombshell.
He's already declared his love for Rocky. He's got nothing left.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
All right, that's enough. Bye.
Right,
We watched it for
bye.
10 minutes. Sorry, bye.
That was really good.